In a quiet Chinese countryside village, a young woman named Melin had once lived a simple life filled with warmth, family, and innocence. But everything changed after her father's sudden death. The burden of survival fell heavily on her shoulders, and with her mother and younger sister depending on her, she made a difficult decision. She left her village behind and moved to the glowing, restless city of Shanghai in search of work. Shanghai was nothing like her hometown. It was loud, fast, and almost overwhelming. But Melin adapted quickly. She found a job in a small but popular toy shop tucked between two tall, neon-lit buildings. There, she spent her days arranging shelves, assisting customers, and smiling politely even when exhaustion weighed on her. What made her job special, however, was her deep love for toys, especially dolls. She had always felt a strange emotional connection to them, as if they were more than just objects made of plastic and fabric. Melin lived in a small rented apartment with her loyal dog, Bao, who had been her companion since childhood. Bao was not an ordinary dog in her eyes. He was family, her protector, and her only emotional anchor in a city where she knew almost no one. At home, Melin collected dolls from different countries, each one carefully placed on shelves like treasures frozen in time. One evening, something unusual arrived at the toy store. A limited edition collection of dolls had just been released, and among them was a particular piece that instantly caught Melin's attention. It was a rare golden-colored doll, unlike anything Melin had ever seen before. While other dolls in the collection sold out within minutes, Melin managed to reserve one for herself through her employee privilege. When she finally held it in her hands, she felt an odd sensation, half admiration, half unease. The doll was stunning. It had soft golden fur, deep blue glass-like eyes, oversized ears, and a wide, almost exaggerated smile filled with tiny, sharp-looking teeth. It looked cute at first glance, but something about that smile felt wrong, as if it was smiling at her rather than for her. Despite the strange feeling crawling inside her chest, Melin took the doll home. That night, her apartment felt different. The air seemed heavier, quieter, almost expectant. She placed the doll on her shelf among her collection and spent a long time just staring at it. Bao, usually excited around new toys, behaved strangely. Instead of wagging his tail or sniffing curiously, he growled the moment his eyes landed on the golden doll. His fur stood on end, and he barked aggressively as if warning her. Melin frowned. "It's just a doll, Bao," she said softly, trying to calm him. But Bao refused to listen. He kept barking, circling the doll, and eventually retreated to a corner of the room, uneasy and restless. That night, for the first time, he did not sleep beside her. Melin brushed it off as anxiety or fear of a new object. She placed the doll on a higher shelf and went to bed. But the night did not stay peaceful. Bao remained awake, staring at the shelf. Then, suddenly, as if frightened by something invisible, he bolted out of the room and hid in the hallway. Melin woke briefly, but didn't think much of it. The next morning, things worsened. Bao refused to calm down. He barked continuously at the doll, and even tried to pull Melin toward it by grabbing her jeans, desperately insisting she look at it. Annoyed and stressed, she scolded him harshly and locked him in the bathroom before heading to work. That day, at the toy shop, something strange happened to her. Melin, usually calm and kind to customers, found herself unusually irritable. Minor mistakes angered her. Conversations frustrated her. By midday, her temper had completely shifted, as if something inside her had snapped. She shouted at a customer, something she had never done before, and the situation escalated until her manager terminated her employment on the spot. Shocked and confused, Melin couldn't understand what had gone wrong. It felt as though she had lost control over her own emotions. When she returned home that evening, tears still lingering in her eyes, She immediately went to check on Bao, but the moment she opens the bathroom door, she was met with silence. Bao was gone. The apartment felt colder than before. As she searched every room, a strange feeling grew in her chest, like invisible eyes were watching her from every corner. Then, faintly, she heard something unusual, a soft laugh. It was distant, hollow, and deeply unsettling. She turned sharply toward the living room. In the dim light, she saw something standing near the corner of her room, a silhouette, small, still, watching. Her breath caught. She stepped closer, but the figure vanished. Only the golden doll remained on the shelf. Melin's heart pounded. She was certain she had seen something else just moments ago, something alive, something wrong. That night, exhaustion finally forced her to sleep, but her mind did not rest. In her dream, she stood inside her own apartment, but everything was decayed, darker and distorted. The walls seemed to breathe, shadows stretched unnaturally across the floor, and in the center of the room stood a creature unlike anything human. It had long, twisted limbs ending in razor-like claws. Its skin was raw and red, as if it had been burned and left to rot. The smell of decay filled the dream. The creature tilted its head and began walking towards her, and then it laughed. A voice that was not human, deep, layered, and mocking. Melin tried to scream, but no sound came out. The creature lunged. She jolted awake in terror. But something was wrong. She was not alone. The golden doll was sitting on her chest. Melin screamed. The sound shattered the silence, and Bao suddenly reappeared, crashing into the room as if he had broken free from somewhere. But instead of calming her, the situation grew even more chaotic. Bao attacked the doll violently, tearing it apart with his teeth. The doll broke into pieces, scattering across the floor. For a moment, everything went silent. Melin sat trembling, drenched in sweat, her mind unable to process what had just happened. Eventually, exhaustion and shock overwhelmed her, and she fell back asleep without cleaning the mess. The next morning, pain greeted her before consciousness fully returned. Her head throbbed violently, her body felt weak, and when she looked at her hands, small red marks had begun to appear, like tiny bite marks or scratches. But Bao was gone again. This time, there was no barking, no noise, only silence. She searched the entire apartment, room after room, corner after corner, but he was nowhere. When she finally entered the bathroom and looked into the mirror, she froze. Her face was covered in the same red marks, and behind her reflection, something stood. A shape, a presence, familiar yet horrifying. For a split second, she saw it clearly, the same monstrous figure from her dream. But when she turned around, nothing was there. Only the golden doll, sitting neatly on the shelf, whole again, unbroken, its smile wider than before. Melin staggered backward. That was impossible. Bao had destroyed it. She saw it happen. But now it was intact, perfect, watching. Panic overtook her. She ran out of the apartment, searching for Bao, calling his name repeatedly, her voice echoing through empty streets. But there was no response. When she returned, dread crushed her instantly. The doll had moved. It was now near the kitchen sink, closer than before. And on the floor beneath it, Bao's lifeless body. Blood stained the tiles. The scene was horrifying. His body was torn, as if something had attacked him with brutal force. Melin fell to her knees, unable to breathe, unable to process what she was seeing. Her beloved companion was gone, and the doll was smiling. That moment changed everything. Melin rushed to her computer, shaking uncontrollably. She searched everything she could about the doll, its origin, similar incidents, anything. What she found chilled her even more. Reports from different parts of the world described similar events. people claiming their dolls were alive, strange injuries, sudden misfortunes, job losses, illness, and even unexplained deaths surrounding those who owned similar figures. Some articles suggested the doll was linked to an ancient cursed entity, a demonic presence known in folklore as a deceptive spirit that forms through innocent objects, feeding on fear, chaos, and emotional instability. Melin felt her world collapse. Without hesitation, she gathered the doll, took it outside, and set it on fire. The flames rose quickly, consuming its golden fur and twisted smile. For the first time in days, she felt a sense of relief. She collected the ashes, sealed them in a jar, and threw them into a river far from her home. That night, she called her younger sister and told her everything.